September of 21, I had been experiencing several different symptoms, and I had got to the point where I was at my wit's end. And I had made the decision to just find out what the heck is actually going on with me. I had just turned 50, and I'm a wife. I'm a mother of active twin teenage boys and working a full-time job. So even people who don't feel like death, that's still that's a lot. Some people. So, and it was a lot for me, and it was a constant battle every day. I beat myself up all the time and talked to myself like, I didn't try hard enough, if I missed something, forgot something at the grocery store, or forgot an activity we were supposed to do, right? You can do better than that, or what's wrong with you? Get it together. I was constantly beating myself up. The brain fog, weight gain, constant exhaustion, feeling like a failure. I seriously thought I was coming down with dementia, to be honest. It took most effort for me to force myself to get out of bed. Very dark and ugly time. I felt it put a strain on my marriage. My husband, bless his heart, was very patient with me, but I could tell it was frustrating him, and we talked about it, and it was bothering him. Things were getting to him as well, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not a quitter. And I'm not going to lose my kids. I'm not going to lose my husband. I'm not going to lose my life. Again, this was in September, like late September, early October of 21. Told them of my symptoms. They ran the blood work, diagnosed me with Hashimoto's disease. And I was like, oh, thank God. We have a starting point. We have something to work with. It's like, okay, now let's get to work. Let's figure out what we need to do. How do we fix this? How do we feel better? And I was actually excited for something I could actually accomplish. And when I asked her, okay, so what are the next steps? What are we going to do to treat it? And her responses kind of crushed my hopes, and I was devastated. Basically, she said Hashimoto's is the #1 reason for hypothyroidism in the US, and it's treated with the levothyroxine, which is what I was taking. And she said, but your levels were perfect, so we're not going to adjust your meds. And I was just like, but wait a minute, time out. That's not good enough. So I asked her for a referral to an endocrinologist. That at that time, what I knew was that was my next step. And she's like, okay, I'll go ahead and send that referral. But she's like, I'll warn you, the thyroid disease does not go into remission. I believe the perimenopause is what's causing the majority of your symptoms. And unfortunately, the source of the autoimmune disease is yourself. Again, I was horrified. I'm like, she did not just say that to me. How dare she? I was mad. I felt like she didn't care or even try to understand what misery I was going through, how my life was affected, and then that point, how it was affecting the people around me. I was reading books, the Hashimoto's disease, the paleo diet, all kinds of things. And then within those groups, a lot of people were talking about functional medicine doctors. So I was like, all right, well, let's try this. So I started looking for a functional medicine doctor. And then at one point I was working with a functional medicine and an endocrinologist in parallel, and both started out kind of promising, but then the functional medicine doctor never did any follow-up. So I was like, okay, apparently she doesn't care anymore. So I checked that one off the box and moved on. And then the endocrinologist, again, started out fairly good, but then eventually it's turned into the same song and dance that I got from other medical doctors. They just started dismissing me and concluding that my symptoms were because of this or because of that, typical textbook stuff, never digging into why. I felt like they didn't listen to me. So I started searching for Hashimoto's and menopause together because they have similar symptoms, and I felt like they overlapped, and I had questions about, am I going through both? Is this one or the other or whatever? And so at that point, that's when Dr. LeBay's book popped up on my Google searches. And so I started researching into her and her program, and immediately booked my clarity call. And the first time I visited with Dr. LeBay was November 8th of 22. And I was very honest and open with her and talked to her about my concerns, with being ghosted from the other functional medicine doctor and, some of the others not feeling like they listened to me. And She put me at ease very quickly, and walked through some of the stuff with me, talked it over with my husband, and I was like, I want to give this a go. And so that's what we did. And that is the turning point when everything changed. My life shifted. The world started getting brighter again. Sorry. So I started the journey and began the healing process with Dr. LeBay, December 26th of 22. After 1 month, I started really noticing some differences, mainly the sleep, head clarity. And then at the 2-month mark, I was like, let's just, for grins, let's get on the scale and just see. And I was so surprised and very happy that at 2 months, I was down 15 pounds and every day feeling more alive. I was so happy. It was great. Then it's now been about 3 months, and I can say I'm down 20 pounds now, and continued health improvements every day. Since the 26th, I've removed sugar and dairy totally from my diet. Well, we won't say totally because, for the majority, we'll say 98% out of my diet, because we'll be real. I followed her instructions for supplements, and I'm feeling like a human being again. I sleep better. I can wake up in the mornings without having to, feel like I'm physically dragging myself out of bed every day. And I'm very thankful for that. I've been doing 15 minutes of yoga 3 to 4 times a week, and I'm actually look forward to it every morning. I don't dread it. I don't feel like I've ran a marathon just walking from my car to the front door of work. My joints don't hurt anymore. My muscles don't ache constantly. I don't get short of breath just from routine tasks. I can focus and accomplish things like I used to, and the relationship with my husband has significantly improved. I've always taught my kids that you are free to make any choice that you want. You are not, however, free from the consequences. So looking in the mirror every day and seeing what I had become, that was my consequence, and that was hard. It was hard to see that person in the mirror every day. But I knew putting in the effort and getting my life and health back, I knew it was going to be hard as well. But I chose my hard, and I chose to heal, I chose to get better, and I chose to be happy. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, Dr. LeBay and your staff, for walking this path with me and giving me the support and guidance I so desperately needed. Thank you so much.